Hey there. We at Blue Wire just wanted to take a second to thank you for listening to this podcast. We know everything outside is pretty scary and uncertain, but we're committed to helping you get through your day by talking about the sports and teams that you love most. If you're looking for more great podcasts to distract you, check out BlueWirePods.com. Thanks for listening. Enjoy the podcast and stay safe.
Blue Wire.
Kirk Cousins, he's going to be a Minnesota Viking. This was the right call.
Cousins pressure, hit as he throws, going for Thielen. He's got it! Touchdown! Oh my Diggs! Stay up! Oh my God! 30! 10! Touchdown! It's a Minneapolis Miracle!
All right, welcome in, everybody. Welcome to Bleeding Purple, podcast about the Minnesota Vikings. We are part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network, and we are brought to you by BetOnline.ag. I'm your host, Adam Patrick from thevikingage.com, and as always, I'm joined by Eric Strack from MinnesotaSportsFan.com. So let's just get right into it, Eric. Have you ever heard Scottie Pippen referred to as Scott Pippen before last night?
It's funny. That's the first thing that you brought up. No, I had not until last night when I heard his name called at the podium the year that he was drafted.
Mm-hmm. Scott Pippen.
Scott Pippen. Yeah, I'm not sure who that guy is. Maybe Scottie Pippen's kid, dad, something like that.
Yeah, so of course we're talking about The Last Dance, the documentary on the 97-98 Chicago Bulls that debuted on ESPN last night. I believe it's on Netflix now if you want to.
Really?
If you haven't seen it, yeah.
Wow.
Both episodes are on Netflix.
Interesting.
So it was good. I think some people are already complaining that there's going to be 10 episodes and why do we need 10 episodes of stuff, but you know.
People will
it's a
complain
different
about
conversation.
Anything.
Yes,
Seriously.
yes.
Like,
So
we have literally nothing else to watch, and you're upset because there's too many episodes of possibly the greatest documentary ever. I mean,
there's like 10, 20 episodes a season for a TV show.
Yeah,
but,
it's the same people who complain that there's too many episodes or too many seasons of The Office or something like that. Like they just don't like fun.
Yeah. So, what did you think of the Last Dance?
I thought it was awesome. I was really impressed by just the way that they put everything together, and I didn't realize that they had all of this unseen footage from that season, that they had allowed this unprecedented at the time camera access for that one.
Yeah, Michael
season.
Jordan was sitting on it, right?
Yeah. It was Jordan and the Bulls, I guess, agreed to it, and I guess just sitting on all this great camera footage. And
I think I heard that he decided to make something with it. I think it was during the Cavs parade. So he's probably like, "Oh no, LeBron's like stealing some of my my limelight, so I gotta get back and make this sweet documentary."
Well, let's talk a little bit then about what everybody's been debating all day today, and that is the GOAT of NBA basketball. Here, quick, before we get into everything Vikings. Do you have it, MJ? Do you have it, LeBron? Do you have it, somebody else?
I'd probably go LeBron.
Would you?
And I've been alive for both of them. I more remember the end of Jordan's career than being alive for remembering all of LeBron's career. But I feel like LeBron's been able to do more with less, where Michael Jordan didn't really start to win championships until he had Scottie Pippen and Horace Grant and Phil Jackson. Where LeBron, he's had like terrible teams, I feel like, around him and been able to get them to the finals or to the playoffs. But, at the same time, his first championship didn't come until he was with the Heat and he had Dwayne Wade and Chris Bosh. So there's both sides. I have no problem with people siding with one or the other. I think they're both very good players. I don't really need to figure out who's the best out of those two, because they're both very good and they both play different styles. So I just kind of think it's hard to argue the two against each other and pick one.
Yeah, I agree. I think Michael Jordan is the greatest of all time. But for me, it's more of a mentality thing. And I don't even know if this is what wins the argument, or if I'm just part of my problem is I'm biased. I just don't really like LeBron James. Everything that he comes out and does and says in public rubs me the wrong way. Whereas I just loved the way Michael Jordan was like, if it's going to make me money, I'll do it. Like there were no other biases. He wasn't, out there, social justicing, and he wasn't going out of his way to back China, things of that nature. He was all about just, I don't care, like
basketball.
Yeah, one of his legendary quotes was, they asked something about, and he said, they buy shoes too. Like, that's what he cared about, and that's what I loved about MJ. He was about basketball, and he was about making as much money as he possibly could, which is the American dream. So I like MJ in that regard. But I feel like LeBron had to learn how to win.
Mm-hmm.
He even says so himself sometimes when he says that he had to go to Miami to really figure out what it takes to win. MJ never needed that. Like, I love the part of the documentary where he goes into his teammates' hotel room and they're all doing blow and stuff all over the hotel room. And right after that, they go like, that was the last time I ever really saw it, because I just didn't want to. He was at home cleaning, like living like a college kid. Like it was
like the cocaine circus.
Yeah.
Traveling cocaine circus.
Yep. And he knew what it took to win early, and he had that drive to win early. Sure, it took Pippen being drafted. It took a couple of trades, Cartwright, everybody else getting onto the roster. But once he had pieces that he could really at all, that could score even a little bit, like, he took off. Like, LeBron had to go somewhere else to learn how to win. I don't know if he doesn't go to Miami, I don't know if he's even in this conversation, because he just doesn't have the rings to even have the conversation.
Yeah. I just think maybe the impact on the game was probably a lot more, just because the NBA, it was getting more popular with Magic and Bird at that time, but I think Michael Jordan just vaulted it to like completely new heights. And
absolutely,
it's a big reason why the league is where it is today, is because of a lot of the things he was able to do.
That's true.
As far as just like marketing and things like that, and just having his own shoe, like that wasn't really a thing before him. I think Magic and Bird had one, but
I don't know if they had their own. They were Converse guys. He was like the first guy to really go with Nike, and
he had the Jordans. Like they weren't called the Birds or the Magics.
Right.
They were. He had the Jordans, and then I think a lot of his focus just when he was playing was on basketball. Where I think today, a lot of the top players are not really worried about winning too much. They want to win; they're competitive, but they have a lot.
He wanted to win.
Yeah, they're a lot more focused on other interests, other ventures. Their brand. You always hear that thrown around, like they want to build their brand,
and that's what I love so much about Jordan. Like, he cared about his brand. He wanted to build his brand too.
Yeah.
But he knew that
winning would make it even better.
Winning is what is going to build my brand, because he wanted his entire brand to reflect winning. Like that was.
If there was anybody to compare him to in all of sports, I would say Tom Brady would be like that.
Yeah. As far as the competitiveness and the mental attitude.
He's got TB12, and the only reason people probably really even know about that is because he's won so much.
Right.
And he's been in the spotlight. If not for that, I don't know how many people would even care about his cookbooks or whatever he has.
Yeah, true.
But yeah, I'm looking forward to, the only thing I don't like is that they're spreading it out so much. I'm like, it's going to be on Netflix. Just release it all at once so we can watch it. Because
people were asking last night, like, can we just watch all 10 episodes?
They have like 100. No, they would have like 100 million streamers.
I know.
Just watching it. So I don't know. Maybe like towards the end when the draft is over and people are just like, oh my god, just release it.
Right.
Because I think it's supposed to go until, I want to say late June or early July, and that's a long ways away.
Yeah.
But enough of that. We'll get into some Vikings stuff, since this is a Vikings podcast.
Oh, last time I checked.
We'll start off with something we talked about in the last episode with Daniel House. Go check that out if you haven't heard that already. Talked about some draft stuff, but we first talked about Odell Beckham Jr. and the random report / rumor that was spread last week, and then since then it's been denied by numerous NFL insiders. I think Adam Schefter's denied it, Ian Rappaport's denied it, Charles Robinson, all those guys, and even the people within the Browns organization in the front office have just called it completely false.
But then said, but we are maybe looking to move him.
Yes, and then there's a report from, I think, Bleacher Report's Mike Freeman, who said, while a trade to the Vikings is probably unlikely, also not 0%, so there's still a chance, but that the chance of Odell Beckham getting traded seems to be still, pretty significant, according to, a bunch of league team sources, whatever. So, do you think there's a chance still that by the end of the draft, Odell Beckham could be on the Vikings?
No.
No? Okay.
I mean, anything is possible, but I just think the Browns would have to call the Vikings and blow them away with an offer. And I don't see... You don't move a great player by calling teams and offering them something really good. Like, if you have a great player to move, you're hoping that once you let everybody know he's available, that your phone lines are piling up with offers and you get to compare all of them. So I don't see it happening. I wouldn't be
surprised if all this stuff was started by like someone close to the Vikings or within the Vikings organization, just to see like if he was even on the table or what it might take to land him.
Yeah, you never know with all of the things that go on in the background.
Especially during the draft. And all the little sliding of information, some of it true, some of it not true. So yeah, I mean, I could see anything being possible if the Vikings decide to move up, and I know that we're going to talk about this here very shortly, but I see it much more likely if they're grabbing a player, not move up, but if they're grabbing a player, if they're trading for a player, that it's Trent Williams or another offensive lineman that then allows them to avoid offensive line with one of their first draft picks. There's a lot of wide receivers that are going to be scheduled to come right around us. Probably none of them are probably Odell Beckham Jr., but you're going to get a lot, you hope, a lot better caliber wide receiver at that 22-25 pick than you're going to get an offensive tackle at that 22-25 spot. So if they are going to get a player in a trade, I would hope and expect it to be Trent Williams, maybe another offensive lineman if they can find one. I don't see them trading up for making a blockbuster for OBJ, which might include draft picks, who knows? What about Yannick Ngakoue from the Jaguars? He's been making a lot of noise today on Twitter, getting into an argument, I think, with the son of the Jaguars owner. You didn't see that?
No,
he was
I've
telling
been doing this mock draft all afternoon. Jesus,
he's been telling him to trade him, and the son's owner replied back like, "Hey, we need fair compensation. So, and you're not really doing a great job right now of building up your value. So you should probably be quiet."
How did I miss that? That's a
so he wants out,
and
I think he is actually a college teammate of Stephon Diggs. So I don't know how interested the Vikings would be in getting someone like him. I think those two have a pretty good relationship. But he'd be interesting because he's a young defensive end, and to pair him with, I think he's the same age as Danielle Hunter, so that would be a pretty lethal duo, and I think Mike Zimmer would get pretty excited about someone like that.
How much do you think it would take?
They already have 12 draft picks this year, the Jaguars.
Oh,
so
wow.
It could be something where maybe the Vikings give up a first-round pick next year or a second-round pick next year, and maybe like something this year, a mid-round pick, and that would be enough to do it because, yeah, they already have a lot of draft picks. So they're not looking probably to add more draft picks. If anything, they'd maybe look to add more early round picks. So maybe the Vikings give up one of their firsts or one of their thirds for him. But yeah, I don't know. He's obviously driving his trade value down because he's already said like his public goodbyes on his Twitter, like, I'd like to thank all the Jaguars fans, like all that stuff, and he's still technically with the Jaguars, but
That's insane.
And that's a messy situation. I don't know if the Vikings want someone like that in their locker room either. They just got rid of someone like that in Diggs, and I don't know if they want.
And I don't know.
Maybe he'll be totally different, with Mike Zimmer and in Minnesota. But yeah, I don't know.
I don't know if that's a position that you want with everything going on, like with him specifically. Yeah. I just don't know if that's the position that you want to pull the trigger on a risk like that. You might, if it's an offensive lineman, I can see it. Corner, maybe, but
well, it worked out with Jared Allen, didn't it?
No, it did. But when we brought in Jared Allen, we didn't have Danielle Hunter and 1, 2, 3 young guys that we're really high on.
Kevin Williams.
Is he an interior defensive lineman or not Kevin Williams?
He started
this guy.
No, he's a defensive end.
Yeah, so you already have Danielle Hunter, and you have at least 2 young guys at defensive end that you really like. I just don't know if you're going to give up picks in this year's draft, which you absolutely need. Yeah. To go and get that position. If it's an offensive lineman, if it's a corner, maybe. I just don't know if they do it at defensive end, but we'll see. I've been hearing, I don't even know about reports, but I've been hearing smart people say that they expect more trades almost than.
Well, I've heard the opposite.
I've heard both. I thought opposite. Yeah, right. So I thought opposite. I was thinking there's no way that we see as many. But I forget if it was on ESPN or where I saw it today, but they were saying that, that's what everybody's saying, but that's not going to be the case, that there are already GMs and in talks and stuff is already pretty much ready to be pushed over the edge. They said, especially early on in the first round when they had time to prepare and everything like that, they said, if not the same amount of action, possibly more. In that first round, they said
because they've had so much time to prepare.
Yeah, once we get to later rounds, they could see it kind of falling off. But they said that if anything, they see it as being even more possible in the first round, which I'm all for it. I want as much entertainment as I can. I hope every single trade or every single pick gets traded, just so we have more to talk about. I want excitement. That's all I want on Thursday.
Oh, it's going to be exciting, if not for all the, technical difficulties that are going to happen to the teams, and people are going to be pissed off about that. Hopefully the Saints get screwed some way or another.
Packers missed their pick in our mock draft today for some reason. I'm just not really sure why. They didn't quite make it to the podium, so I'm not sure. Maybe the same thing will happen tomorrow.
I guess there was some problems. They did a virtual a test run mock draft today with all the GMs. I guess there were some problems initially with the first pick, but then I think John Elway later commented that everything went pretty smooth, and that one of the GMs said his internet went out because he didn't realize both of his kids were upstairs on their iPads, so the using their bandwidth. And I'm like, that you better make sure no one's
so here's
on their internet on Thursday.
Here's my question, right? If you're an NFL GM. Yeah. Or anybody who it's vital. You should
have your own router.
It's vital that you have your internet connection on point, right? I could call Xfinity right now. I have one of their higher packages, 250 megabits per second download.
It needs to be the highest.
If I'm doing the draft, I'm calling them and I'm saying, what is the highest you can get me right now? Why are we dealing with kids up on iPads being a problem? Go and get internet that's 500 megabits per second download. And I
feel Google Fiber should, or one of those fiber ones should be the sponsor of this and just provide all the GMs with free internet, and they can be oh, look, it worked for them.
Well, it's funny too, because when you stream like we do with this show, like we just did with the mock draft, how clear the other person comes out as long as the person running the stream has good internet connection. How the other person looks is all up to their internet, and you can see it if you go to our YouTube channel where this will be posted tomorrow morning.
Some people look like they're on a flip phone.
Yes, they look like you can't even see some people. They're just a blur. Like, that's all that they are. And then other people, they pop on and it's like they're clearer than me, and I'm not even like on an internet connection. I'm just going straight to my computer. And so it'll be interesting to see that play out tomorrow. Like, do they have everybody hooked up with good internet, or are we going to see
on Thursday?
People are on Thursday. Are we going to see people who, like, you don't even know who they are because they're so blurry? I can't wait.
Dave Gettleman, Mike Zimmer. Yes. I did see Mike Zimmer's kids have made the trip to his ranch or whatever this week. So I'm sure the Vikings are like, hey, you guys make sure you stay there and make sure everything goes right, because we're not so sure if he can handle it on his own.
Oh, man.
Wouldn't be surprised if they did that. But yeah, you mentioned him before, Trent Williams. The Vikings are a team to watch to land Trent Williams in a trade. I think ESPN's John Keim reported this again. He previously reported that the Vikings were interested in acquiring Trent Williams, I think a couple weeks ago. And then I guess on a recent podcast of his, he said that the Vikings were a team to watch. So, you've already basically stated your case to get Trent Williams. And I think it would be a good trade for the Vikings to make. I don't have a lot of faith in young offensive linemen, especially when it's the Vikings picking them. I'd rather go with someone who's already proven, especially a left tackle who's already blocked for Kirk Cousins before. Right. So those two are pretty familiar with each other. I think Trent Williams likes Kirk Cousins. The only problem is, just figuring out, how to pay him, because I think he wants a new deal. So you got to figure that out. If you want to get rid of Anthony Harris too, who's also coming up, we'll talk about him. Get rid of Riley Reif if you trade for Trent Williams, or you move him inside and ask him to take a pay cut. So there's a lot of options, and I don't think the Vikings would have to give up a first round pick for Trent Williams. I don't think they would. I
don't think so either.
If they did, I don't think they should make the trade.
Yeah, no, I agree with that 100%. My understanding of it, and this is just through third-party reporting. I don't have any sources of my own or anything like that, but
you don't.
Not yet. At least not any sources on this. My understanding is that it's kind of like the Harris situation, where they're really only being offered third-round picks for Trent Williams right now, and they want a second round or higher, a second round plus, or whatever they're looking for. And I think the biggest reason why this trade hasn't happened yet, let alone whether it'll happen or not, is because we're dealing with the Redskins. And from what everybody says, the Redskins are the worst team in the entire league to deal with. Like, you will think that you have a deal wrapped up, ready to go, Bo is on it, you're tying it, and all of a sudden, oh, we want more. Like, they're just, from what everybody says, they're just the worst team in the league to deal with. So if this Trent Williams deal doesn't get done, I honestly believe it is because we're dealing with the Redskins, and they're just dealing with them. They're just assholes. And so
they could be waiting for, I guess they're smart to wait for the draft and see, which teams maybe miss out on a tackle that they wanted in the first round, and then see, if they want, either after the draft or during the draft, if they want to, trade for Trent Williams now that they didn't get the guy they wanted, and that could be the Vikings. So
yeah, and I don't know. I think that they should definitely make the move for Trent Williams. Obviously, you don't want to overpay or anything like that, but the offensive lineman, I like Jeff Jones, Daniel House, or not Jeff Jones, Josh Jones. Oh, somebody's going to be mad at me for getting that name wrong, that's for sure. Josh.
Well, you're going to be fired, so
fired.
Enjoy the last couple minutes of being on the show.
I'll do my best. Best. I like Josh Jones. He matches what we're trying to do. He's a pulling tackle. He lines up right where we're about to draft. He'll probably be
zone
there.
Blocking.
But if you make the trade for Trent Williams, then you don't have to worry about nothing. Now you can look at all the cornerbacks that are going to be there. Xavier, McKinney. You got Diggs' little brother, who I don't think they'll touch. Fulton is going to
Christian Fulton.
Fulton is going to be there. Like
Jeff Gladney.
Yep, and the same thing at wide receivers, right? You got Jefferson. You got all sorts of wide receivers who are slotted right in there. If the wide receivers start slipping, it could be very interesting what wide receivers are available at 15, 16, 17.
I think
so.
I
just think that there are, if you make the trade and you can wipe offensive line out of your first draft or first round needs, you're set up so much better because of all the cornerback and wide receiver talent that's going to be there for you.
Yeah, I think the Vikings are also in a very favorable position, given that they have 2 first-round picks, and then where those picks are, I think a lot of teams are going to probably be calling them about trading back into the first round to do that, and we know Rick Spielman likes to trade, so he's not going to be too sad to either move back early into the second round or like towards the end of the first. So I think that's a good possibility to happen if whether they do or they don't get Trent Williams. I just think they're probably gonna use their first round pick, and then I think there's just a big possibility of them trading back with the second one. I'd be surprised if they made a pick at pick 25. Before we move on, we are brought to you today by much different sponsor than we have been the last couple of weeks. Psych. BetOnline.ag. With currently no NBA, NHL, or Major League Baseball, you might think there's nothing to bet on. Well, you'd be wrong. Our exclusive partner BetOnline still has hundreds of events, games, and props to wager on. From their online casino to poker and blackjack, they're bringing Vegas to you. You're missing the NFL? No problem. BetOnline has live daily Madden NFL 20 simulations you can bet on. And you can still bet on TV shows like Survivor, Big Brother, American Idol. You can bet on stock prices, and you can even bet on the Nathan's hot dog eating contest if that is still scheduled to go on. Everything is open 24 hours a day, and it's all online. Use promo code BLUEWIRE, which is all one word, to join today and receive your new welcome bonus. BetOnline, your online wagering solution. All right, we're going to move on.
Hold on. Betting on stock prices. I need to touch on this for a hot second.
Oh boy.
All right, so betting. Okay, so it's like a double whammy. So because playing the stock market pretty much is betting, and if you see a stock that you feel like is going to rise, you can just go and bet on it. But sometimes those stocks cost like $400 a share, $300.
But it might be a good idea to bet on stocks falling, right now.
Right. Well, and
with everything going on,
you can go to BetOnline, and instead of actually playing the stock market, what if I don't have $10,000 to go buy however many shares I want, but I have $50 to go bet on where that stock will go. So you can go to BetOnline and you can just bet on the stock instead of playing the stock market. How genius is that?
If you were going to bet like stocks like ESPN or WWE were going to fall, those seem like pretty easy bets to make.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Betting on stocks.
Yeah.
It's you gotta bet on something.
Gotta get that pick somewhere, man.
Yeah. Okay, we'll move on to Anthony Harris. The latest on him from ESPN's Josina Anderson is that the Vikings are making progress on a new deal for Anthony Harris. Seems like they're scheduled to start talking again, hopefully get something done. But him getting traded during the draft is still a possibility. I'll just put you on the spot right now. Will Anthony Harris be still with the Vikings after the draft?
I hope not. And not because I don't like Anthony Harris, and that I don't think he's a good player, but I just think it's a waste of our money. We already have Harrison Smith back there. The only reason why I can really see you doing it is because your corners are so young that you would really like to have two veteran safeties that you can trust to help them out. That part of it makes sense, but everything else really doesn't make that much sense. I don't know. Zimmer even said it at the combine. Like, we don't really need to pay two safeties, so then you're just going to come and pay two safeties. I see this much more as we want teams to think we might still want him, because you're going to get more back. it goes back to what we were talking about before. If everybody knows that you're trying to trade somebody, you're not going to give it as much back, right? So then you throw it into the media that, oh no, hey, Josina Anderson, we're working on a contract deal right now, and maybe they are, but that doesn't mean that the contract will get done or that they even want it to get done. So I don't know if it'll be post-draft. I personally would be very surprised if we see Anthony Harris in purple when they start getting back together at TCO again. I don't know about the draft, but I'd be surprised to see him next season.
I just wish that he would be fine with playing on like the franchise deal, because I feel like that's perfect for him right now, because yes, he played really well last year, but that was also his first full year of being a starter.
Right.
And you don't want to, just because a guy has one good year, you don't want to invest a lot in him. The Vikings know a lot about him. He's been with the team his whole career. So if they've been hesitant to give him a long-term deal, that lets me know that something, that Zimmer, he's not totally comfortable with giving him that much money, because he wants to probably see if, last year was the real thing and it wasn't just, Andrew Sendejo having a good season a couple years ago and then, poop in the bed.
I don't know. I don't even like him on the franchise tag. I just don't want to pay him that much money this year. Like, we have no money for this year, like right now. So like,
well, they still have like $10 million left.
They have,
which is enough to sign the draft picks.
They have a $10 million,
but they got to pay Dalvin.
They still have to pay Dalvin, and I don't even like that he's on our payroll right now, to be honest with you. I want to get something for him. So if they trade him, great. Get something back for him. But how much having him on the payroll, showing that he's 10 million, whatever it is, against our cap, what has that stopped us from doing so far this offseason?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like, I know that there isn't, once the draft is over, it's not like we have a fresh new offseason. Like, a lot of the offseason is already over. So I don't know how much of that money you would even be able to spend, but people are going to open up. Things are going to happen. I just don't think strong safety, free safety, whatever you want to call those two, between him and Harrison, I just don't think it's worth it. I just don't think that's the best place to spend that money.
Yeah. The Vikings can if everything, falls apart, they can't trade him or sign him to a long-term deal. They can always just rescind the franchise tag. So that's probably a last resort option, I would think, because if they sign him to a long-term deal, they're going to lower his cap hit for this year, so they can make room to pay people like Dalvin or other people as well. Give Kyle Rudolph another extension.
He deserves it.
Because he's a great player.
Exactly.
CJ Ham probably give him a raise too.
Best fullback in the league.
Yeah. It means a lot. One question I had, because I think I saw Jamal Adams is apparently he's on the trade block too. Would you rather pay someone like him who's younger and could be a possible replacement for Harrison Smith, because Harrison Smith is 31, he's getting up there. Would you be more interested in doing something like that, where you would probably have to pay Adams with either this year or next year, give him an extension? Would you rather have that than just drafting a safety?
If I'm going to be forced into trading or, trading for a veteran safety.
I can tell you love talking about paying safeties. So.
Yes, I would rather have Adams than Harris. But again, with Harrison there, I just don't think that that's the place that you want to go. I think you'd be better off going and trading for Trent Williams, and then you go and pick up Xavier McKinney or a Antoine Winfield Jr. or a Delpit. And if you grab, and I like Delpit, but Delpit is a safety from my understanding. Safety. Winfield Jr. gives you other options. McKinney gives you other options. And with all of the help we need in the secondary right now, being able to play them where in different spots, especially early in their career, I would rather go and trade for a Trent Williams and go and pick up one of those guys who you can groom and not pay that much money to, Whereas you go and pay Jamal Adams, pay Harris, and now you have less money. You still need help at offensive tackle. You still need help at wide receiver. You still need help at corner. I just don't like the idea of... I don't even like the idea of drafting a safety unless he can help us with it in his
first round.
in his early years at a different position.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm impressed. It only took you this time about like 30 minutes to mention Antoine Winfield Jr. So it's
Tyler Johnson.
Good job by you. Yeah. Oh,
just wanted to throw that one in there too.
Anybody else got Carter Coughlin? You want to get him in there too?
Carter Coughlin. I'm a little bit disappointed at how far he fell down that draft board compared to when he came to Minnesota. He was one of the best recruits we've ever brought in. I mean, not that he wasn't
anymore. You guys got all those 4-star
That's true.
guys I saw in the secondary
That's
now.
Right. Not that
Carter
Coughlin wasn't good. He was just
Yeah.
He's in a weird place. He even in college, like he's good at rushing the passer, but he's not quite big enough to be a really legitimate defensive end.
3-4 linebacker.
Yeah, he's a 3-4 linebacker, but I just think that's part of what hurt him going into the draft process is that he's kind of this one position in this one type of scheme, and if you don't have that scheme, then it's not happening.
All right, we will move on to our big question of the episode, which relates to The Last Dance. So it's a 10-part documentary. So my question is, which Vikings-related topic would you like to see be made into a 10-part documentary? It doesn't have to be a specific season. It could be an event. It could be a player's maybe career, just something you would like to see that's related to the Vikings be made into a 10-part documentary. What would you like to see just all the behind the scenes footage?
I'd like to think outside the box on this one, but I just can't. Because I keep on coming back to the same two seasons. No, not the Love Boat. The same 2 seasons. I thought about the Love Boat though too. That actually has like a Barstool Sports documentary.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I've seen that.
But
Fred Smoot, he still enjoys that, talking about that story.
He loves it.
I can tell.
Yep.
Yes.
No, I'd either the 98 or 99 season. Like both would be so intriguing because you have Moss coming in 98. And you had Favre coming in 2009. So we know a lot of the backstory, but if you could have the type of footage that they have in the MJ documentary where like Brett's actually on the phone with Chili, or like you have shots.
Footage from the plane, like in the plane.
Yes, or shots from the field where Brett Favre is pretty much telling Chili that it's his offense, right? Like you just stand there and pretend to call plays. This is my offense. Like I would love to see something like that. And then 98, obviously all of the Moss and how it all went down and the whole, we've seen kind of the background of the draft and why he slid to us and Denny Green calling him and everything else. But I would say that those 2 points in Vikings history, especially 98, probably 98 more, just because it was such a game changer. It changed everything about the Vikings forever.
Yeah.
So I would say I don't have any out of the box picks. I'd have to go with one of those 2 seasons.
Yeah, I don't know if these are out of the box, but I would enjoy seeing something on maybe Randy Moss's last season with the Vikings. The first stint, not that random one in 2010.
Yeah.
Just go through his last year where, leading up to him getting traded to maybe see if we can find out, if there was some stuff behind the scenes going on that led to that. That moment of him being traded when he's in the prime of his career. I think I might be more interested in seeing something on the 2010 season than 2009.
I was just going to say
because of everything that happened that year. They, the roof
I need
collapsing.
To see the footage of Moss calling out that cook.
Yes. What happened behind the scenes, maybe with Chili and Moss. Them playing at TCF. Brett Favre's season not going the way, he wanted to, him missing actual games.
I was living in Illinois that year.
Yeah.
And I remember that the game in Green Bay. Yeah, that was.
And then I think the season 2016 with Teddy and all that stuff happened. You know, just start that off at like that practice and everyone freaking out.
Yeah.
What I would kill to see footage from that practice, because I don't know about you, but I've always been skeptical about the non-contact injury that he suffered where his leg just exploded. So, you know.
That is interesting because I think now I might not know, as the one listener knows himself, I might not know as much Vikings, or even since I've been covering Minnesota sports, everybody wants to cover the Vikings. Anybody who reaches out to write for us, to do anything for us, they're all Vikings fans. So I focus a lot on go for football, go for basketball, and everything else. But if there's one thing that I would love to see, it would be that 2010 season where he tells off the cook, right? That's what's
Randy Moss.
Yeah, Randy Moss. He goes off on the cook, says this food sucks. He gets traded
to the Titans.
To the Titans. But everything that went down in that season. Yeah, that's my dark horse candidate. If we're gonna go out of the box, I'd like to see
the roof collapsing. Playing on what they played on? They played on a Tuesday night that year. Was that the year they played on a Tuesday night?
They might have.
It was supposed to be. I don't know if it was a Monday night game or they played. Was it that year where they played in Ford Field and they played against the Giants?
Yep. That was right after the collapse.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be, and they had a lot of expectations that year because they were coming off the NFC Championship that they should have won, but Greg Williams screwed them.
Yeah.
And then they opened the year against the Saints, and that you could go. There's so many people you could go into, like they're going into in the Last Dance now. They're going, into Michael Jordan's background, Scottie Pippen. You could go into guys like Adrian Peterson, Percy Harvin, Jared Allen, Brett Favre, obviously. There's Sidney Rice, I guess, maybe Randy Moss, obviously. There's a lot of storylines I think you could go into from that team, and I think that'd be the one.
Yeah,
I think 2010 would be the most interesting. I can't think of any from the past that were as interesting. Maybe like a deep, like out of the box is something on everything on Demetrius Underwood.
Yeah, that's
and what happened. What happened to him? Like what happened? How did he just quit? I don't even think he practiced once for the Vikings, and he was a first-round pick. And then he eventually came back to play football, and then he left, and I think he went to prison or something for a little bit, just to see where he's at now. I would be very interested in something on that too.
So I lost my train of thought in the middle of talking earlier, which happens to me a lot. If you listen to this podcast for the foreseeable future, you will notice that I lose my train of thought a lot when
thinking about Patrick Patterson.
Yeah, exactly. Patrick Patterson, that guy. Yeah. Safety, right, for the Cardinals?
I think so. Is that quarterback? Okay.
Right, something like that. But Teddy, I wanted to comment on your Teddy comment because I've never even really thought about that. I haven't heard anybody talk about that.
Oh, it's out there.
No, obviously, and that's where I was going when I said that I don't always. Not that I don't pay close attention to the Vikings. It's just like I said, every writer wants to write about the Vikings. There are hundreds of people all over, millions that want to cover the Vikings. But that, I feel like that's something that I would have seen in more places. The Teddy injury, that is now I'm going to think I'm not going to be able to sleep at night now. How am I going to sleep tonight? Teddy's injury could have been a phony. He dropping back and then it just snaps like that.
Could have tripped down somebody behind him.
Gosh, it could have just been as simple as not wanting to
got his legs tangled. Yeah,
But if it was just a tangling of legs?
Because if he got his legs tangled either in the center, maybe the snap,
right? Yeah,
he got his legs tangled with the offensive lineman.
But I don't know if they would lie. I don't know if they would, because that's something that, like the fans aren't gonna hear that and go, "Oh, screw the center, kick him out of town. We don't want him ever here ever again." Like.
That's why I think they wouldn't let it get out, though.
Well, no. But I don't think that would happen for tripping over. It can't be like tangled legs. It could be, but it would have to be something that was so egregious.
Maybe like a defender like hitting him or something.
No. But like, so having the center step on you when you take the snap and having you trip, it's not common, but it's not unheard of. If the news broke that Teddy, or stepping back, center stepped on Teddy's foot, and then that's what happened, I don't think that would be enough to hide it. For me, it would have to be something that is so out there. And I don't mean out there as in somebody took a gun out and shot him. Like, I'm not saying that. I'm saying, like, it would have had to been like maybe a running back not paying attention, right? Like, the running back is lined up in the backfield, hike, and the running back is like looking at some hot girl walking by and like not paying attention, and then Teddy does a 5-step drop and trips over him. Like, that would be something that nobody would want. Like, the Vikings wouldn't want to report how stupid that running back is. But it would have to be something like that.
Wouldn't that be totally Vikings for something to happen like that?
Yes, it would. And it would also be totally Vikings. The only thing that's
nothing to happen?
Not Vikings about it is that we haven't heard otherwise. Like, I feel like the Vikings, knowing our history and everything else, like, it would have gotten out by now. And
when the 30 for 30, on Teddy Bridgewater comes out.
God, that is such an intriguing thought.
That's a good one too, because you can follow him, his road back or whatever.
Yeah.
His leg was, from everything that people have reported, and it was close to being lost.
Right. And
so
yeah. I mean,
and he just signed a giant deal to be the starter for the Panthers. I don't think anyone ever saw that happening. I don't think anyone ever thought he was going to play football again.
Yeah, that's true. There were a lot of people. I mean, there were people crying, but like, okay, so in that scenario, I'm convincing myself that this isn't plausible. Because it wasn't non-contact. Well, I don't think it's possible that we've been lied to this whole time, because there were people crying. Like,
have you met Rick Spielman?
I know, but come on. Well, not just Spielman though. It's not Spielman, right? That's the problem with all of this, with this entire theory, is that like there were 50 some guys there watching it. Like, not all of them were watching it happen, obviously, but we heard reports of guys crying and like it being a big, huge scene.
Throwing up even.
Yes. I find it hard to believe that in the 10 years since, not one guy would go to a reporter or go to somebody or a friend or whoever and say, yeah, fuck this guy who did who did this to
ruined
Teddy.
Our season.
Yeah, like I feel like it would have slipped out at some point. Man.
Yeah, there's some guys. I think Alex Boone was there. You think that someone like him would probably spill the beans,
right? At some point,
Mike Zimmer's not really good at lying.
That's true. Yeah.
Or just like keeping his mouth shut about certain things, unless someone warns him.
That freak of an injury, it was almost such a freak injury that I don't know if getting like lit up by somebody, like, we've seen people get hit hard, we've seen them land weird, we've seen a lot of different
that's
things.
why I think it could have been, it was probably more of him tripping over somebody.
Yeah.
If it was
contact. I could also, knowing what we know about knee injuries though, and sometimes you're just seeing guys run and then all of a sudden it just locks up and they just tumble forward. That's what gives legitimacy to the actual story, because you can almost see it happening the way that it happened in just a freak way like that. The same percentage chance as him backing up and tripping over somebody or like,
it's just weird because I don't think he ever had knee problems before that.
Yeah.
And you would think something like that would happen to someone who's had a history.
Oh my gosh.
Sometimes
I'm going to hit Google so hard after this. I gotta find out the truth.
All right. Well, you do that, and we'll wrap this up, because I gotta put my son to bed.
Oh yeah, I suppose it's only
he's gotta go to bed. It's 7:30. It's getting late.
It's like 2:30 there or something like that. In California.
Yeah. I'm in England. So This is the end of this episode. You can follow us on Twitter at Bleeding Podcast. Find us on Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube, wherever you can find your podcast. Download us. Go check out thevikingage.com, and of course check out minnesotasportsfan.com for Vikings coverage and coverage on all the other Minnesota sports, including the Gophers. As Eric mentioned, he covers extensively.
Correct.
So for me, I'm just going to say goodbye from this episode, and the next episode we will be even closer to the draft and the Vikings acquiring Odell Beckham.
The day of the draft is when our next episode will release.
No.
Thursday
morning.
When
it releases, yes.
Thursday
So
morning.
you will have a fresh episode to listen to as you prepare to watch the virtual NFL draft. But that's going to do it for us. Thanks again, Eric, for joining, as always. Have a nice night.
All right. Thank you. Bye, fam.